Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a medicine so powerful, it strengthens your bones, lifts your mood, balances your hormones, protects your heart, sharpens your mind, and costs absolutely nothing. No prescription, no side effects, only benefits. That medicine is the sunlight you greet each morning. Yet, for many of us past the age of 60, we've been quietly ushered away from the sun. We've been told to avoid it, fear it, cover up, stay inside. And in that quiet retreat, a hidden deficiency grows, not just in our bodies, but in our understanding. When people speak of energy, of strength, of vitality, rarely do they speak of light. And yet, what is more essential to life than the light of the sun? From the first breath we take until the last, every process within the body is guided not just by food or movement, but by light itself. Among the many silent miracles that light performs within us, one of the most powerful is the creation of what we call vitamin D. But to call it merely a vitamin is to understate its role. It is a key that unlocks the strength of our bones, the clarity of our mind, the alertness of our immune system, and the steadiness of our heart. Many people, especially those who have walked beyond 60 winters, feel their bodies becoming slower. The joints begin to whisper, the legs feel heavier, and there is a kind of tiredness that does not leave, even after a full night's sleep. They believe it is just aging, that this decline is natural, but often, it is not nature that is fake. It's sunlight. It is the quiet absence of what the body once received so easily, so freely, without asking. There is an old man in a mountain village who wakes every day with the sun, not by alarm clock, not by force. He simply follows the rhythm that nature whispers to those who listen. Each morning, before taking food or speaking to anyone, he stands still facing the east. His eyes close, his hands rest by his sides, and he lets the early light touch his skin. When asked why he does this, he smiles and says, "I am filling my bones." And that is not far from the truth. When the sun's rays touch your skin, a deep alchemy takes place. Your body begins to produce vitamin D, a compound so vital that without it, the framework of the body, the skeleton, begins to weaken. The muscles lose their command, the nerves hesitate, and the immune system becomes like a warrior without armor. This is especially true as we age, because the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D declines. What once took 10 minutes may now take 30. What once felt natural now must be made conscious. But why is this so important? Because vitamin D is not just for bones, it is for balance. It is for clarity of mood. It is for reducing inflammation that silently eats away at organs and joints. It communicates with over 200 genes in the body. Imagine a conductor who keeps an entire orchestra in harmony. Without him, the music becomes noise. Without vitamin D, the body becomes disoriented. Consider a woman who used to walk briskly each morning, laughing and talking as she moved along the trail. With time, she stayed indoors more often, only stepping out in the late afternoon. Her energy dropped. She complained of aches, sadness, a heaviness she could not describe. Tests were done, blood was drawn, and the cause was found. Her vitamin D was almost absent. No sunlight, no spark. Her light within had dimmed because she had turned her back on the light outside now. One might ask, why not just take a supplement? A tablet is simple, swallow and forget. But here is what the body teaches. The process matters. Just as one cannot learn wisdom by reading a quote, one cannot absorb sunlight by consuming a pill. The body understands sunlight in a way that no laboratory version can fully replicate. The warmth on the skin, the awakening of cells, the synchronizing of circadian rhythms, this cannot be bottled. The body recognizes the real thing, and the real thing comes when you step outside and receive it directly. Modern life has become a cave. Screens glow, windows are shut, and people spend hours in artificial light that nourishes nothing. The sun has been treated like an enemy, a thing to be blocked, avoided, hidden from. But just as fire can burn or warm depending on how it is used, the sun, when approached with respect, becomes a medicine of the highest order. It is not necessary to bask for hours or expose the entire body. Even a simple daily ritual, 15 minutes of morning light on the face, arms or hands, is enough to awaken the inner fire. But it must be consistent. Like water to a plant, the benefits come not from one deep drink but from regular watering. Consistency, not intensity, is the secret. And yet, so many remain in the dark. They treat symptoms with medicine, not realizing the root lies in nature's rhythm. When they restore the sunlight to their life, many other things begin to shift. Sleep improves, mood stabilizes, energy flows, bones strengthen. The light outside begins to reflect inside. There was once a monk who noticed a young disciple always sitting in a dark corner of the temple to study. One day, the monk said, "What you seek in these books will not reveal itself until your face has felt the morning." The student was puzzled, but the next morning he sat outside with his scroll. The light touched his skin, and as the wind stirred the pages, he said he felt clarity not just in the text, but in his mind. This is what happens when we align with what supports us. As we age, we must not retreat from the natural world, we must draw closer. The rhythms of sunrise and sunset are not just beautiful, they are medicinal. They carry a message, and that message is simple. Wake with the light, walk with the light, and let the light restore what time attempts to take away. Bones do not speak loudly. They do not cry out until they break. But they feel everything: the absence of sunlight, the lack of vitamin D, the slow erosion of strength. And so we must become their voice. We must remember that strength is not built in gyms alone. It is built in how we move, how we breathe, and how we bathe in light. Let the skin feel the sun, not fear it. Let the body remember the warmth that brings life, not run from it. Let the elders teach the young not only wisdom from their words, but from the way they live, lined with the elements that shape them. Each morning is an invitation, not to rush, not to begin with noise, but to step outside, to breathe deeply, and to remember that the sun rises for us all. To reject that gift is to reject the very rhythm that keeps us well. To receive it is to remember that healing is not always found in medicine. Sometimes it is found in the simple act of standing still under the sky. There is a saying from the East that goes, "The eyes cannot see what the heart refuses to acknowledge." In the same way, healing often stands in plain view, yet is overlooked, simply because it is too simple. In a world shaped by urgency, by pills in colored boxes and appointments on printed slips, the soft and quiet wisdom of nature is often drowned out. One such wisdom lies in the relationship between sunlight and human vitality. It is not a new discovery, it is an ancient practice. But today, it has been reduced to numbers on a blood test and pills in a bottle. There are many elders who visit their physicians and are told, "Your vitamin D is low." With that one sentence, a bottle is prescribed, and they walk home carrying the answer in their hand. But no one sits with them long enough to explain the why. No one takes the time to say, "This happened because you have not walked with the sun," and so they swallow the capsule and remain indoors. They follow the advice, yet the fatigue does not lift. The pain remains in the joints. The sleep still feels shallow, and they wonder why the pill isn't enough. But healing is not a transaction. It is a dialogue between the body and the elements, between movement and stillness, between light and time. A pill is like a word spoken without feeling. It may reach the ear but not the heart. In the same way, a supplement may enter the body, but it cannot replace the intelligence of nature. The warmth of the sun on the skin, the shift in hormones it triggers, the message it sends to the brain that day has begun. These are all subtle forms of medicine that no capsule can imitate. There is a story of a woman who lived in a quiet village by the hills. For many years she woke early, walked to the edge of the fields, and stood facing the east. Her neighbors noticed she rarely fell ill, and her smile never faded. One day a younger woman asked, "What do you eat? What is your secret?" The elder simply said, "I let the sun feed me before anything else." She was not speaking of food, but of light. Her nourishment came not just through the mouth but through the skin, the eyes, the breath. Science often tries to isolate what nature presents in harmony. It takes one element and says, "This is the key." But nature does not work in isolation. Sunlight, movement, air, rest, and rhythm, they are all parts of the same whole. To understand this is to step back from the belief that healing is something external. Instead, it is a return to the body's original wisdom. Now consider how most people approach sunlight. They either avoid it entirely or seek it without awareness. But the body responds not just to sunlight, but to the right kind of sunlight, at the right time, in the right way. After 60, the body becomes more sensitive, more refined. Its needs change, and so must the way we approach the light. Morning sunlight, before the heat of the day, carries the gentlest frequencies. It awakens the brain without harming the skin. It tells the body that day has begun, that it's time to move, to digest, to focus. Just 10 to 15 minutes is enough to signal this shift. When light enters the eyes and touches the skin, it resets the circadian rhythm, the internal clock that governs everything from sleep to hormones to blood pressure. And when this rhythm is in tune, the body begins to heal without effort. But most people miss this window. They stay indoors until late, and by the time they step outside, the light has changed. Harsh, direct sunlight in the middle of the day is no longer a medicine. It is heat without harmony. Then in the evening, the body is confused. Sleep becomes shallow. The cycle is broken, and they wonder why the heart feels heavy, why the bones ache, why the mood sinks without reason. There was a monk who once asked his master, "What is the best time to meditate?" The master replied, "When the birds sing and the flowers begin to open." The student realized it was dawn, nature's beginning. The same principle applies to sunlight. It is not just about getting sun. It is about aligning with the time when the body is ready to receive it. Another overlooked truth is how much skin is exposed. Modern clothing covers more than it reveals. Many elders step outside with only their face in the light, the rest of the body hidden under fabric, but the skin is the largest organ. It is the interface between the body and the world. For sunlight to truly work its magic, there must be space for it to touch. Arms, legs, hands, these surfaces matter. And even a short daily exposure, if done regularly and with awareness, can awaken systems that had grown dormant. This is not a call to sunbathe for hours, nor to chase a tan. It is a return to balance. Just as too little sun is harmful, so is too much. The body knows moderation. It whispers when enough is enough. But in a world driven by extremes, that whisper is often missed. Therefore, attention must be trained not only on what we do, but on how and when we do it. The elderly often speak of their younger days spent outdoors. They speak of mornings spent walking barefoot, afternoons in gardens, evenings under open skies. Back then, there were no fitness centers, no dietary trends, no multivitamins, yet people were strong, steady, and seldom fell ill. That was not coincidence, it was alignment. With soil, with breath, with sunlight. The light does not just feed the bones, it feeds the soul. A person who begins the day with light in their eyes walks differently. Their spine is upright, their thoughts are clearer, their emotions more stable. Because the sun does more than make vitamin D, it reconnects us to something ancient, a rhythm that predates every medicine. There is a simple practice for those willing to listen. Rise with the sun, step outside for 10 minutes, let the arms and face meet the light, breathe deeply, and then continue the day. Done daily, this is more than habit, it is a ritual, and rituals are what create transformation, not information alone. The mistake many make is to wait until illness comes, then search for healing. But wisdom is preventative. It observes the small imbalances before they become loud. And low vitamin D is one such imbalance. It begins in silence. No pain, no sign, only a slow drift away from vitality, until one day the bones break, the breath shortens, the steps lose balance, and the cause is traced back to what was missed. A drug with a light. It is not enough to know these truths intellectually. They must be practiced, embodied, lived. Healing is not passive. It is participation. The sun rises each day not just for crops and animals but for us. To reject it is to reject one of the oldest allies in human history. Let the body remember what it once knew. Let the skin feel what it once felt. Let the morning become a teacher. Again, for in that light is not just heat, but harmony. Not just brightness, but balance. And within that balance the aging body finds its strength. Not in resistance, but in rhythm. Asterisk. So today, let this be a gentle awakening. The sun is not your enemy. It is your oldest ally. With care, mindfulness, and respect for balance, it can restore what time slowly tries to take away. Before you reach for another bottle of pills, reach for the doorknob, step outside. Let the light touch your skin and feel how life responds. The warmth you feel is not just heat, it's healing. Thank you.